Okay, so hello everyone, and thank you for hopping on the call tonight. My name is Sarah Chikianis. For those of you who don't know me, I'm usually just known as Sarah T because I have such a long last name. But I'm so excited to talk to you guys tonight, and I have a few notes that I want to talk to you guys about. I've been getting inbox messages from some of you on time management skills because you guys watched my story, so I would love to share. But first, I'm going to talk about my topic, which is the power of your story. It's something I'm so passionate about and something that has helped my business really explode. When I first got started back August in 2013, I signed up as a coach, and I remember the team being so small, Team Triceps, and I remember that I was afraid to share my story. I would share parts of it. I would share that I had celiac disease and that I ate gluten-free, but I was afraid to really open up. I was afraid to share my struggles or my triumphs and really just dive into that stuff. So I had a slower start. I didn't hit success starters, but I hit success consecutively the month after, after your first full month. I hit the month after that, and I realized that I really needed a month to, get the groundwork in. I wasn't sharing my story until that month. And one thing that happened to me was I thought it was a disaster. I had a separate fitness Instagram, and it synced to my Facebook. And so I signed on one day. I'm like, wow, I gained, 100 followers. They were all my high school friends. And my world turned upside down. I called Carly. I was having an anxiety attack. I was so shy when I became a coach, so shy. If I ran into someone at the store, I would look down and run the other way. That's just how I was. So it was hard then, but it was a blessing in disguise for me. So now, of course, I just use that Instagram. I don't care who sees, because if they want to see it, great. If not, they can delete me because I don't care, That's my new philosophy, and I want you guys to take that too. I've heard the quote recently, and it really stuck with me, is you can never hate someone if you know their story. And does that really sink in with you guys? If you know someone and you know their struggles, how could you hate them? How could you not like them? And that's something that really resonated with me. I remember that day that it sank, and all my ex-boyfriends are liking all my stuff, and all my friends that I wasn't talking to at the time, ex-friends, and I'm like, oh my goodness. But that there led to people that I would have never invited reaching out to me, all because that happened. But let's be real, it's hard to share a story, right? It's so hard. So I want you guys to break your story, your big story, into little slices and little pieces. I call them little pieces of the cake. I have a thread going for my coaches, my personally sponsored coaches that are on the Success Club board, and I challenge them today. It's Thursday, Throwback Thursday. So I challenge you guys to share part of your story today. Share a little slice. Today I shared something I have never shared with anyone except for my mom and best friend. And it was about how I had so many struggles with my hair. And so I shared that today, and I wanted to cry posting it, but I knew if it inspired one person, it was worth it. And I got messages from people already. But just remember, when you share your story, and if people aren't commenting or liking, that's okay. They're still watching. Don't turn into a hermit because people are not, reacting the way you expect. And you expect your Instagram or your Facebook to blow up, because let's be real, it doesn't happen all the time. I post things sometimes that get no likes, and I don't care. I leave them. I don't delete them. And it seriously all came down to personal development for me, for sharing my story. When I wasn't doing personal development, when I first became a coach, I wasn't sharing my story. I wasn't confident enough. Be confident in who you are and own your story. It's going to inspire so many people. So again, you want to make sure you're relatable then, right? So your one story about, your struggles, your triumphs, may not relate 100% to someone else, but that's okay. When you break it down into these little slices, all these little different mini stories, it can relate to people. You want to make sure you're relatable and being real. People like when you admit when you fall off track, because they're like, oh wow, see, it's hard to like someone when they seem perfect, right? It's hard to relate to them. So you want to make sure you're doing that as well. And any questions so far? If you have any, type them into the chat box, and I would be happy to answer. But I also want to go into a little more in depth about how you can share your story with others. When you personally message people and you're just talking, slip your story in there in certain different ways. I always do. When people tell me, I hate my job. What do you say to that? You don't want to play it up and be negative. You don't want to be like, yeah, sucks to be you. No. Instead, you want to be like, well, I used to be like that because I used to work retail. I used to hate my job. I used to, resent going in, or I would be sitting by the phone waiting to be called out because I hated it so much. So I tell people, I used to hate my job too until I found, a solution. Don't jump down their throat with Beachbody, but just leave them with that little cliffhanger. That's what are going to get people, thinking these questions. Even if they don't ask right then, they are thinking it. And then when you do go to invite a coach or a customer, you'll ask them, have you ever thought about the coaching opportunity? Or have you ever considered it? Don't just say, hey, do you want to be a coach? No, ask them a cliffhanger. Ask them a question that's going to make them think like, oh, have you ever considered it? That's something that's going to make someone think more. And an example is I connected with, it's actually my brother's fiance's cousin, and so random. It was a 5-day group, and anytime I run a free 5-day group, I have people invite their friends. Okay, my team does this too. And so that's how I met her. And she ordered a program, never ordered Shakeology. So I could have brushed it off saying she's not interested. And I told my mom last week, I was like, what? I've been afraid to invite her, but she would make a rock star coach. She's doing a half marathon training right now, and she's using Shaun T to help her with Max 30. So I'm like, this girl's rocking it. She's basically coaching. So I messaged her. I was like, what? Screw it. Let's message her. And she was like, what? I've been thinking about it all along. And so you never know who's interested. I remember before Carly shared this story too, is I signed up. I was one of her first challengers, Carly Del Carlo, and I signed up, first challenge group ever. It was 90 days. I did it. And I wanted to become a coach the entire time. And I thought it had to be someone that was like chosen, like a chosen person, because I wasn't invited because we were all so new. She didn't know. I didn't know. So I remembered one day messaging her saying, hey, Carly, I really hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I've decided to become a coach. I hope you aren't going to hate me because of this, because I thought I wasn't going to work with her. So you never know who's interested unless you ask. And use your story to ask the right questions, Ask someone, how's your day going? If they don't like their job, ask why. Don't just brush it off. Or people say, a status saying oh, I'm not ready for summer yet. You just ask well, what have you been up to? What have you been doing for weight loss or working out? Do you have a plan you're following? Make sure you're asking the right questions and slip in how it's helped you. I always tell people, I used to sleep 18 hours a day, no joke. I could barely make through an entire day of school every day. I got dismissed almost every day of high school and middle school and all the time. I'm lucky my mom worked from home because or else she probably would have been fired, but I didn't know what to do. I was so sick. And I remember telling people that when I drank Shakeology, I was like the Energizer Bunny. It was nuts. I remember going for hikes the first weekend I had Shakeology in me. I remember going, asking my boyfriend, hey, can we go on a walk tonight? And he's like, sure. We've never gone on a walk, the past 2 years because you've been too sick. And I loved it. Quick example is I tell people, I've done the Relay for Life. If you guys are familiar, it's a cancer walk, and I've done it for the past 12 years. Every year I would pass out after I ate dinner there, and I'd be so mad when I would wake up in the morning. This is before I was diagnosed with celiac disease, so the gluten would make me so sick. The first year when I was diagnosed with celiac disease and I was eating gluten-free and I was on Shakeology, I stayed up the entire night and I walked over 10 miles. And just to think that the year before, I could only walk 1 lap because my knees hurt so bad and I was so exhausted. It goes to show people the magic in superfoods. And of course, you don't want to shove that down people's throats. But when people are saying how they're, they don't have energy, share these stories. And these stories don't have to be your personal stories. You can share your team's stories. I know when I was first diagnosed with PCOS, I didn't recommend Shakeology right away for people with PCOS because I did not, experience the side effects right away. But I shared Jen Melberg, a girl on our team. She's lost, over 100 pounds on Shakeology, and she has PCOS, and now she's pregnant with her second baby. So how powerful is that? You can share a teammate's story. So that's what I encourage you guys all to do. Take little mental notes or write them down, little notes of stories that you can share. I mean, I'm more than welcome to share my story. That's all you have to do, guys. It doesn't have to be yours. You can also share other people's stories. I'm going to go real quick into time management. So is that something you guys want me to talk about? Yeah? Okay. So if you guys watch my video, I am so busy sometimes. Like when I think about it, it overwhelms me. But that's okay. You guys still can build a business. You can still be successful. And you can still make time for, your daily activity. So I make sure I make a to-do list each and every morning. I actually started doing them at night because if you're like me and you're so overwhelmed sometimes, it's hard to go to bed when you're thinking of all these things you need to do. So Chalene Johnson, I did the 30-day push, and I do my to-do list at night or in the morning, and I make sure it's totally done, and I get to work. I do wake up pretty early most days, usually like 5 a.m., sometimes earlier, but that's up to you. I go to work. I have to leave the house at 7:30 in order to get to my job. And so I make sure I get a full power hour in the morning, and I do my daily activity. So I do my invites. I try to work out in the morning. If not, I can do it at night, but that's on me to decide. I make sure I do my follow-ups, check into my groups and post in my groups. And I actually have this that I use. I can share with you guys. It's an emerald pusher and a diamond pusher checklist. And I laminate it and I use an expo marker. And it has everything you need to do for the day for your business. And it kind of keeps like my brain together. My team loves it, and it's so helpful. So I can post that in the group. Will that be good? Okay. I know in the beginning, I feel like I was not doing the right activity. Oh, I just got a message. Okay. So I feel like I wasn't doing the right activity at first. I felt like I was, swimming and trying to talk to people, was missing out on half the things, missing out on follow-ups. And I'm like, what is going on? There has to be an easier system. And for me, I'm a systems person. Like I need to be planned, organized, ready to go, or else it doesn't happen. And today has actually been an off day for me. I was so tired. I am behind on everything, but I know exactly what I need to do in order to do my Beachbody business. I won't go to sleep if it's not done. So make sure that you guys have a planner or something. I'm an Erin Condren planner fan, but I recently changed. It's the Passion Planner, and it's $35. And I actually got the undated version because I figured, it's, May. I didn't want to waste almost 6 months of the year. So it's undated. So if you use this for a few months and then go back to Erin Condren and go back, that's fine. And what I liked about this is it plans out your time, each hour, each half hour. And that was something I was missing out on. I realized I was spending way too much time on little things, way too much time making graphics on Instagram. My rule is like under 5 minutes and it has to be done, usually under, 1 to 2 minutes. And I was spending way too much time on that stuff. I remember I started a Pinterest board to try to, gain more exposure, and I was spending like an hour a morning. Like that's a waste of time. So you want to make sure you're breaking down everything you're doing. I break it down to, 10 minutes for follow-ups, 10 minutes for Facebook groups. I go into Facebook groups and add to my network. And that is so helpful. And it's been like single-handedly changing my business lately. It's a new thing that I've been implementing. So I schedule everything I need to do. And that has helped me stay on track. So, I get up sometimes 4:30, mostly 5 though, because I need sleep. But 5 a.m. I get my personal development and my power hour done. I get that all out of the way. I get ready for work. I'm on the road by 7:30, and I do more personal development in the car. And that's my ride. If I don't do that, I notice I get to work and I'm miserable. I'm cranky. It's not good. It's like my routine now, and I love it. So instead of listening to the radio, I put on a Chalene Johnson podcast on my phone. I pre-download them so it doesn't use any data. Get to work. I'm at work. I do daycare. So it goes through spurts. During nap time, I can get work done. During the day, I can't. I have 10 kids, I'm taking care of. And it's in my mom's house. So I don't live there anymore. But before, it was like easier. I lived there. All my stuff was there. Now I tote it around. I do bring my laptop and my Beachbody notebook with me, just in case I have a downtime. Today I had none. So I'll be up later tonight. But during nap time, or if you have a break at work, I don't get a break. It's just nap time. And I try to follow up on messages, but I also am a full-time student. I take, double the amount of credits a normal student. So I usually do my homework then, and I just log in, do that stuff. But you can easily do another power hour then and do your activity. Again, from the list I'm going to give you guys. So helpful. And this is how I track. I know so many people are digital. I'm not. Like, I have a digital master contact list, but for me to update it every day on who I talk to is not practical. I tried it and I failed at it. So instead, I just, have a quick little list I do. It's just their name and what did I do. I formed them or I followed up. And then I just update my business activity tracker. And once a week, I'll go in and I will update my master Google Drive of my contact list. It works for me. Just find what works for you. But to save time, say you're in a line at the store and that's going to go into your Beachbody time. Answer messages on your phone. Any free moment you have that you can work your business, I do it personally. I also maintain a social life. I have a boyfriend. So I make it all work, and I know you guys can too. Don't use being busy as an excuse, because it's not. I built my business to Diamond, hopefully soon Star Diamond, and I've been just as busy all along. And I feel like I've been getting busier and busier. So it's totally doable. So when I get home from work, I usually work out again or just get a workout or go for a walk. And then I get back to work for at least an hour, another power hour. And I know that might be more than some of you guys are used to, but I would say at least 1 power hour a day. But if you're in this recruitment group, you really, you're putting in more time. So let me just see. I have another message. Did someone send another message? Because it came through that I got one, but I didn't get one. If you can resend, if possible.
Can you just talk about how you add more people to your Facebook network every day?
Sure. Totally. So that was actually something I struggled with. I did a call for my team on it too. I can even post. But I remember in January, I was already a Success Starter? Yes, I was. So not a Success Starter, Success Club All-Star, 12 months consecutively. So I realized in January, like, you know what, crap. I messaged Carly. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I signed up for an elite push group, and I was like, holy cow, I need to start 40 new conversations a week. That seemed crazy. But now I find I'm easily doing that. And I do that by adding people to my network. So I go into groups, gluten-free groups, PCOS groups, dog lover groups, cruise lines, Disney junkie groups, anything. Make a list of 10 things you're interested in and do that. And I go into groups and I talk to people. That's it. I ask questions. I do not post about Beachbody. I won't. You'll get kicked out. It's tacky. Someone actually posted today in a group, and in the comments, she just posted her link for her MLM. And I'm just like, that is so tacky, guys. So I just talk to people and I add them as a friend. I don't say, hey, I'm sending you a friend request. I just add. And I've been screenshotting the conversation I add them from, so I remember, because it's hard to remember when you're adding so many people. So that's what I'm doing now, when I have a free moment. And each night I will write it down and track it, who I added and from where. So this way you know what group works and what doesn't. I will say for every probably 10 groups I join, only one is like a gold mine for me. So it took me so long to get into that. But once I got into a rhythm of it and just talking to people and just like literally put your thoughts of Success Club, of getting coaches, of getting challengers aside and look at these people as friends. What if you gain 10 new friends each and every day? Like, how cool would that be, right? I remember when I signed up as a coach, I was a college student. All my friends were away at school, and I stayed home and I commuted. And you can only imagine, like, I was a wreck. Thank God my boyfriend's older than me and all his friends are too. I had them. But I had, like, no friends around. And so when I joined Beachbody, these were all my new friends. So that's what I look at my new Facebook friends as. And so, treat your people you're talking to, your prospects, as your best friends. That's what I tell my team. And that alone will change your business. So I can even post that call if you want. I know it was one I just did. It's just about how to expand your network on a bunch of different ways. Because that's something I struggled with for so long. And now that I have it down, I feel like it's no longer a stress. It's not like an added thing like, what am I missing? What's that secret sauce? The secret sauce is talking to more people and, making more conversations and making time for what, not the busy work. That's what I was caught up on, making time for the conversations and the people, because this is a people business. And once you take that out of it and you're just doing busy work, your business is not going to move. And I know that because that was me. So I'm going to just open it up. Any question, Q&A, because I would love to answer questions for you guys. I haven't really worked with a lot of you guys, so I'm excited. Did that help, Courtney?
Yeah, it did. And I had a question, and I can't remember what it was.
Uh-oh.
It'll probably come to me in a second.
Okay, and if anyone else has any, I would love to help.
So what is your thought process? I know, obviously, a lot of people suggest getting a like page and that being kind of your main source of where you're posting everything. But what's your thought process on like sharing to your actual page? Because I feel like my personal reason for not doing it as much and getting as much traction is because I don't want to bother my friends, because I know how my friends are like, oh, I hate when people post about stuff. But I know, not be too salesy at the same time. But what do you think about that? Like, how do you?
So I can totally relate. I actually made a like page way back when, and I was posting to it consistently, 3 times a day, and I was getting 0 views. Like pages are hard to gain views and traction, except if you pay for ads, which are awesome, but they're costly, right? Mm-hmm. So I find that personally, it works best for me to post on my personal page. I know this is a people business, and if my friends are annoyed, they can hide my posts, but honestly, your friends, they're going to stick by you if they're your real friends. Let's be real. If they don't want to see your stuff, it's probably because they're unhappy with themselves and they know they need a change, but they're afraid.
Right.
So that's happened to me. And I know my friends have never said anything to me about it. And I think it's because like, they're kind of intrigued. Like, what is this girl doing and why is she working so hard? I just turned 21. Like, why am I not at a bar? Why am I at home working like happy as can be? And, they're kind of intrigued, I think. And so I think a lot of it's in our head. I thought like that originally. So the more personal development I do, the better. There's going to be that person on your like page too. If one of your friends likes it, you'll feel the same way. That's just my personal opinion. And, everyone else is different. I don't really use my like page, but not 100%. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Just because more people see it, I felt like my posts were kind of getting like wasted per se.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm putting so much time and energy into this and it's not working.
Well, when you share, you see it's dramatic how many more people see it and everything. And so it's like if you're going ahead and doing that, you might as well, I guess.
Just post it.
Yeah. And I think that kind of comes into play, like what kind of posts you're posting. Obviously, like try to do less of the like, here's some specials, but more of like helpful.
So that's another huge thing to talk about is I remember when I was doing that, I felt this same way. I was doing like, stock photos because I didn't know. Now I literally I cringe when I think of that. My coaches and your coaches, when you start recruiting coaches, when you recruit coaches because you're in the group, they will lead by example. So if you're posting like those stock photos with Autumn or like kissing your Shakeology, they're going to do that. They don't know any better. And so now I don't know if you guys saw, I went to LA last week. Yeah. And I knew in my head what I wanted to do. I had a whole post. It was my 2-year Beachbody anniversary from when I signed up with the challenge group. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a post about Beachbody without making it obvious. I could have easily gone to corporate and taken a picture. I could have easily, taken a picture of Shakeology. Instead, I took a picture of me jumping in front of the Hollywood sign, telling them that freedom was what I felt the past 2 years. So it really depends on how you tweak your posts. I remember seeing like top coaches and I was looking at their posts and I'm like, why am I so intrigued and why am I like fangirling on these people? It's because they're sharing their life. They aren't sharing products. They're sharing their life.
Right.
So that's really helped me.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Courtney, did it come to you?
Yeah. What's the, I've gotten a lot of interest and a lot of people joining my clean eating group. And then I put posts like, do you want to continue the journey? And they're like, yes, I want to join. And then you tell them, and then, but everyone seems to think it's going to be free.
Yep.
So just kind of how to
transition.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will say in my clean eating groups, I would say probably 75% in the end will get a challenge pack. Not right away. Maybe a year later. Okay. These are the people you want to have constant contact with, always following up, always inviting to something new. I've had people that were probably in 12 or 13 clean eating groups before they committed to a challenge.
Do you change your group to keep people?
I often do. Not always, but sometimes I do. Or I change up the name of the groups, the posts. I found before I was doing everything the same, and I found no one wanted to join. I realized I was, took myself out of it. And that's not what you want to do. You know what I mean? So I was changing up different recipes. I actually typed up the T25 meal plan, use that. So just change it up really. That's helped me a ton. but just really reinviting these people. You know, our Facebook ads are totally not going to be like magic. I have people that I've been talking to since February that haven't signed up, and that's fine. Again, they're new friends. They're people that you can constantly follow up with. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. So if you guys don't have any other questions, I will let you guys go to enjoy your night. Recording.